Indiana Jones. It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones. Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the podcast where, I'm telling you, this is the Indiana Jones Minute. This is where normally we would be discussing a minute of one of the Indiana Jones movies, but we're all out of Indiana Jones movies for the time being.
Yeah, there's no possible way we could be discussing a minute of an Indiana Jones movie.
Oh, because we did them all, right?
We did them all.
Every single minute of every Indiana Jones movie we covered in completion. And that there was one that we did twice.
What?
That no one knows about, not even you guys.
Wait a minute.
Gather around, children. I have a story to tell.
Wait,
Back,
is this
the year was 2016. And in March of that year, Jerry Porter, who you hear, none of us introduced ourselves, Jerry Porter and Pete Mummert and our old pal Tom Taylor gathered around their microphones in their 3 separate homes in different parts of the country. And they said, okay, let's do a Raiders of the Lost Ark minute. We'll rip off those guys from Star Wars Minute, word for
Shamelessly.
word. And for that first minute, we're like, let's not start at the beginning because we're going to suck at this. But let's figure out what we're doing we'll just pick. I don't even remember what we did. Did we just like name a number?
No,
or just like spin a wheel or something?
Yes, we did. We picked a random one and we said, we're so smart and we've learned so much that let's pick a random minute of the movie and talk about that minute of the movie.
Yeah.
Like as a practice to see if we would be any good at this, like if this podcast would work.
Yeah.
It's like when you go to the mall and feeling frisky and it's like, I would never wear those pants, so I'm going to try them on. But I'm going to do it safely behind a closed door.
Right. I'll only invite 2 of my friends in the dressing room with me.
Friends are such good friends that they don't tell you how ridiculous they look on you.
You look like the Star Wars Minute.
No, those are great. Yeah, you're looking good, Jared.
No, you've really made it your own. Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
You're really pulling it off. But that's what we did. I think, we spun the wheel of numbers or something. We landed on 51. It's 51, right? Yeah. It's 51, which is, you'll hear. It's a minute in the middle of the movie. And we just, nice random minute in the middle of the movie. And we got together. We took notes. We discussed what we were going to do. And we did the minute. And then we discussed it some more. And that's what you're about to hear right now for the first time ever.
Plans and dreams for what this podcast might be if we did it.
All of which came to fruition word for word as we imagined it, right? I assume.
Well, this is the very thing we've ever recorded.
Literally, yeah,
literally,
yeah. Unless you count like me and Jerry making tapes for girls we liked in like 1987 or something.
And none of that came to fruition. No, our hopes and dreams on that. So
that'll be a Patreon episode. We'll find those tapes.
I do remember thinking, all right, I don't really know how all this podcast stuff is working, but if you guys call me on Tuesday, I will talk about Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
That was the one promise I made to you, fellas.
And I don't want to do the math to think of how many years ago that was.
Kept it now for 16 years.
Oh my God.
How long it's been. Yeah.
Good Lord. 16 years.
Jerry I probably still has never listened to the Star Wars Minute podcast. So he was.
Yeah, he was colder than the rest of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? I trusted you guys.
Yeah.
Because you kept talking about how great it was. Mm-hmm. And then Pete, you said, hey, let's get together.
We role-played it in this on the
show. We had a safe word and everything, which will remain a secret. We, again, it's our first recording. We didn't know what we were doing, so it sounds awful, as much of the early show does anyway. I'm guessing we recorded on GarageBand, on my Mac or something. Yeah. And the
audio sounds horrible.
Yeah, the audio is really rough. We're all over the place. And but you know what? Our hearts are in the right place. Yeah, lots of coughing.
There's one great moment where you cough, and then you're like, "Oh, I've got a mute button." Huh?
See, that's the moment, the historic moment when I found the cough button. You can hear our budding audio abilities being birthed.
Yes, we were the first members of AV Club.
Wow, you
Now
plug
look
this
at
into
us.
this? Wow. This must be what girls are like. Fantastic. Anyway, we hope you enjoy. It's a nice little curio from the past. It's all sepia toned and a little bit dusty.
Yeah.
And enjoy.
It all began.
I'm going to hit record, and okay, I'm recording now, but who knows if we started or not. I guess we can decide later, like how we actually start. Jerry was saying that he's nervous. He doesn't know what we're going to actually talk about, or like how we're supposed to talk about it. But
See, I like that. I like that Jerry's going in raw.
Yeah, me too.
That kind of
Yeah. No, wait, I'm not allowed to say that.
No, see, well, you know what? Maybe you could say that because it's not actually bleepable.
Not
He
actually.
said, "I'm f***ing up without a condom." So that would be different. I have to isolate the Wilhelm scream because I actually do want to use that. That'd be really funny.
Oh, the Wilhelm scream would be amazing. Yeah, I realize that we're going to have a lot of fun with this, but it's going to completely ruin the movie for us.
Yeah. Well, that's what fun is for. Fun is for
Yeah, it's
doing
like
stuff.
even watching clip 51 over and over, I was like, oh, I never noticed. Like he kind of says that. It sounds a little bit affected. He's like, we don't have much time. I'm like, oh, it's totally kind of deadpan drop. Like, it
What a
doesn't.
boring movie.
Save it for the minute. Save it.
Yeah,
for the
save it, save it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, actually, let's start. Let's just actually start. I'm going to
Okay.
say something fake and don't make fun of me. I guess I would begin by saying something like, welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, the podcast in which we analyze and celebrate Raiders of the Lost Ark 1 minute at a time. I'm here with my co-hosts, Jerry Porter. Say hi, Jerry.
That's me. Hello.
And Pete Mummert.
Hello.
Hello. And today we're watching minute number 51. Minute 51 starts with Belloc snootily leading around some Nazis through the desert. And it ends a minute later with Indy climbing into the map room of Tanis. I'm just trying to find my notes. I actually took notes, but now I can't.
You know, I
find
say
them.
this about every minute we've done so far, but this is an excellent minute.
I agree. There's not a bad minute in this movie so far.
There's not. And this one is even better than the other great minutes.
We said that about 50, and we said it couldn't get any better, and now look at us.
I had a really hard time with this minute.
Really?
Explain yourself. Why'd you? What's the matter, Jerry?
That was good. I like, one thing I noticed just right off the bat, Belloc always has, and you only see him for a minute, just for a second, I should say, a few seconds. But even when he's kind of flustered, he has like gorgeous Banana Republic white linen. He's always like, everybody's always dressed. They're either like rap scrappy, Indiana Jones scruffy,
Yeah.
or you have like, German Nazi military uniform stuff. But Belloc really is his own, like he's always really well dressed, and it's always that nice Banana Republic white cream thing.
Yeah.
And there's
then-
never a stain. There's never a sweat stain. It's always perfect.
right, and he's got chilled white wine back at his tent and a wedding dress with a big flower on the butt.
And it's the first thing I made me think of. He really
Spoiler
sticks out.
alert.
Sorry.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
And like, not only is he cool as a cucumber in the desert, but he is like just like not taking any crap from like an army of Nazis. He's just bossing the Nazis around. It's like he's like a freelancer or something, hired to like help them out with finding artifacts and stuff. And he's kind of like, yeah, whatever. I'm Belloc. I'm walking over here now.
Well,
Yeah,
this
shut up.
is-
Don't talk to me about timetables.
See, I'm a big conspiracy theory fan when it comes to movies.
Okay.
And I have a conspiracy theory about this. I think there's some evidence that points to the fact that Colonel Dietrich is a double agent.
Oh my God.
And I think piece of evidence A is the way he lets Belloc treat him. I mean, because Belloc's pretty much running the show.
He is. That's what's weird. You know who he's like? He's almost, in a weird way, like Darth Vader. Like Darth Vader has his whole other, like he's part of the Empire, obviously, and he bosses the army around, but he's got his own, like, you know, Sith thing that has nothing to do with, like, you know, the Death Star or the Imperial Army or anything. So he's kind of like, he's got that removed element to him, the way Belloc does.
Absolutely.
A little bit.
And Belloc makes a lot of excuses. You know, I mean, he has several layers of excuses right here. You know, it's not my fault, but I was right anyway with the data I had.
Yeah. And he's just passing it off totally cool. Like even if they had him like against the wall or something, they'd be like, whatever.
Well, I think Belloc kind of, it's clear that he's positioned himself as like, you know, the Nazis is like the Fuhrer is interested in these sort of artifacts. And they're like, all right, who are we going to call? And it's like you open the big, you know, yellow pages of who do you call for antiquities and discovering. And Belloc has the best ad. And it's like the nice, smooth, you know, and that's how they treat him.
His
like,
name's
oh, no,
near the top of the
that's the
alphabet,
guy.
so you find him first.
Yeah, and he clearly is successful. He's always wearing the nice white linens, and he's got the chilled wine.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. And he's clearly, oh, this is the guy that you're supposed to go to. Like, to them, he's the good guy.
Yeah.
But it's funny because everything that's on that website that the Nazis looked up to see all of his successes, he just cribbed everything from Indiana Jones's
Exactly.
website.
Yeah,
he
I
just
found this
follows him around and
headpiece
takes
from,
what he has.
Yeah.
I mean, we're basically the Belloc of Star Wars Minute.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Hey, that's a great idea. We're watching an awesome summertime blockbuster minute by minute. Why don't we do that?
But you know what? He doesn't, to his credit. I mean, Indiana Jones doesn't speak Jovitos.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's actually surprising. We mentioned that back in minute 10, but that still rubs me the wrong way. That's weird.
Oh, that Belloc does speak it?
Yeah, well, that Indy doesn't, because he's usually on top of that kind of stuff.
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
I think I played. There was like a week of one summer where I tried to play the Indiana Jones role-playing game, and it was based on an Indiana Jones comic book that I had actually read, and I think they mentioned how many, like exactly what languages he speaks. And I think it's like anything you could take in high school he knows. Like he knows French and German, and I think Chinese, and that might be about it. Maybe some Latin.
Those sound like those, quote, Tommy didn't apply himself years.
Tommy, what are you doing in there? I'm playing the Indiana Jones role-playing game, Dad, by myself. Leave me alone. I'll mow the lawn later.
But yeah, we know he speaks Chinese from the prequel. I mean, can we talk about the prequel? Or
Oh, sure.
okay, yeah, I mean, we know he speaks Chinese from Temple of Doom.
Yeah. Are we calling Temple of Doom a prequel?
Well, technically, it's a prequel, right?
It takes place
before.
first, yeah.
Actually,
you know what?
I was out mowing the lawn.
I think
I guess it is. Well, it's 1936.
this is
This
36.
is 36. Temple of Doom is 35.
Yeah, or even 34 maybe.
Maybe, yeah, it might be 34.
And I remember, I seem to remember Steven Spielberg in a lot of like, pre-release interviews addressing that, saying, well, we're not thinking of them as prequels or sequels or just further adventures. I'm like, well, okay, whatever. Which I kind of get, actually. It's kind of like, what's the timeline of like the James Bond movies or something? It's like, when did he morph into Roger Moore? And like, how many times does he get to regenerate as a Time Lord? And, like that kind of stuff.
Or how long? I mean, how long does the film take? Like, by the time he's going fools, bureaucratic fools, is that like a week? Like, is he like, God, I can't believe last Saturday I was in South America.
Right, yeah. I'm still a little jet lagged. And Marion wants to go out drinking? Jeez Louise.
That was a really tough weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got a stack of mail waiting at home for him. A bunch of bills. A bunch of papers to grade.
Oh, Marcus takes care of that. That's the whole thing.
I hope so. Jeez Louise.
But it's like when the kids come and help him out in the marketplace in Cairo. Is he thinking about Short Round?
Yeah. Oh, this takes me back to something I haven't done yet. Yeah, it could be. Okay, I have a question about Sallah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, wait, yeah. But, I mean, are we done with the Belloc half of this minute?
Oh, you mean the first? Yeah, it was like 3 seconds.
Because then we get Indy and Sala walking through the, walking past this big, crazy elaborate dig with all these scaffoldings and camels and everything everywhere. And the first thing I thought watching this in 2016 was, what would this look like? What shot would replace this if this was made today? And all I can picture is like, a massive CGI flyover shot with like, sand dunes revealing, scaffolding and mine carts and everything, and just on and on. It's just like flying through and underneath when it doesn't need to and stuff. But here we get like a completely awesome two guys walking against like a huge, if you pulled the camera back, maybe it would be like, exactly what you see there, but it really gives the impression of being, stretching out into the desert, this massive, huge Nazi dig.
That was the first thing I noticed. I watched it a couple of times, and I was like, there's a lot going on in the background, but there's a lot going on in the foreground.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And there's some dude, I want to know, there's a guy who's watering something. You're like, is he cleaning it off?
Would you guys please try not to dig around my begonias?
Well, and you're like, there's a camel. That is a great shot, and it's it's organic.
And there's a horse.
Camel carrying stuff.
And there are like 15 different levels of mine carts. Like they run over each other. The tracks go over and under and around.
Yeah,
it's like if Rube Goldberg and David Lean got sick together and had a fever dream.
When they're walking through it, that's why it's such a well constructed shot. They're not in front of it or behind it. They're walking through it.
I wonder if any of the diggers are like, hey, how come those guys just get to walk around? What's going on? We're breaking our backs over here.
I was like, nobody recognized them. They got the whole, headscarf and everything. They're clearly.
But I have a question about that. Is we see all of these Nazi soldiers that Colonel Dietrich has brought in, but what are they doing exactly? Because there doesn't seem to be a lot of security here. Like, they seem to be able to walk wherever they want. They can walk right up to the map room.
That's true. That's the note that I had. They're just standing on this hill, like completely exposed. And Sala, at some point, like when they walk up there, he's just carrying a rope or he's got it hidden somewhere. But then when they cut back to him, he's got it snaked like under his robes, going through one arm and out the other. And first, I want to know where that came from. Like, when did he do that? Because they only cut away from him for a second. And next, I want to know, is that at all? I don't exert myself much, so I don't know these things. I don't know anything about leverage or lifting things. But would that help at all? Like, having it going, like, around your shoulders and around your neck? And, like, would that actually help you, control that weight? Or would it just strip all the skin off your back and shoulders?
That's what that's a heck of a rope burn. I mean, that's going to hurt.
I think it's a character building thing.
It's a trust game.
Yeah,
there's outward bound of Egypt.
This guy is willing to put up with intense desert rope burn for his friend. He's the only guy we can trust in this entire scape.
Or maybe he's done this maneuver so many times that his back is just one solid callus. And it just slides right over.
I'll tell you what's weird. After spending all that time with, figuring out like it's you have to have precise measurements and take back to Kadam and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Indy just cavalierly drops the staff.
I want to see the scene where it just snaps in half when it lands.
And you listen to the noise and it's like kablang. You're like, that's the staff of rock. Like,
well, the staff is just a stick. Nobody really knows for sure how.
Well, he's treating it like it's just a stick.
Well, the way he drops it is fantastic, too. He has this weird posture, like he's trying to look really nonchalant.
Yeah.
And he stands up there like, oh, no one's going to see me up here silhouetted against the hilltop.
Yeah,
he
exactly.
Just stands perfectly still and sort of holds his hand straight down and drops it so no one's going to notice him.
Right. Hey, what are you doing up there? Oh, nothing. I'm just dropping sticks into the map room. It's cool. Don't worry about it.
And what are the things? There's these little, like, almost garden ornaments in a circle around the hole.
Oh, yeah. Little flagstones.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, that's my thing. I get that that's where the sun comes in for the map room that we'll see in a little bit. And, like, that's how, like, the map room works. But if you were on assuming Tanis had not been devoured by the desert and everything was like at, ceiling level, where's the door to the map? Is there like a regular ground level door to the map room from before it was buried? And I'm going to have the same question about the Well of Souls later on, too.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Because that's where the hole where the sun comes through, it
Yeah.
has to be the exact. It has to be the exact. Yeah, you'd have to
Yeah.
find. You're like, but they make it look like they dug it, like
Yeah.
on Tuesday.
Yeah, what if like India in climbing down had like, worn away the edges of the thing just enough that he got the completely wrong reading when the sun finally came through.
And that's like everybody's digging in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a
all of y'all.
mad race for the Ark.
yeah.
And what's with the sort of decorative garden stakes that hold the rope around the outside of it?
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Those kind of serpentine ornaments.
It's like someone sat down and like Dietrich said, you know what, we need to have some really fancy garden stakes here to mark off the map room.
Right.
But who built it? Like, did he
Just to
sit
prettify
down
it a
and
little
weave those?
Yeah, it's like if it's supposed to keep people out, it's not going to. I mean, we're witnessing it not keeping people out. And if it's supposed to be like a yellow flag or something to like warn people that there's a giant hole, that's not gonna. It's like blending in. It's like it's not colorful or attention grabbing at all.
Yeah, I think that's more of an artistic thing.
Yeah, I see
think that
Belloc
that's-
putting that around before he goes in, just so it's not seen as like a commoner climbing in a non-adorned hole.
I think it's foreshadowing, snakes.
Yeah, maybe.
The Well of the Souls.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's subtle. It's subtle.
I like
sure. This is what makes it a great movie.
Yeah.
These little touches.
it. Exactly.
Oh, I have one. I have one pet peeve about Sala's dialogue when they're walking. Indy says, "What time does the sun hit the map room?" And completely redundantly, he says, "Around 9 a.m." Like the sun's going to hit the map room at like 9 p.m. And Indy's there like midnight, like, Sala, you could have told me.
I have to say though, that whole little stretch of dialogue, like the dubbing set, they sound weird, and some of the dialogue is weird. And is this George Lucas special? Like, when Indy's walking, he says, "Boy, they're not kidding, are they?" And I mean, that's something my dad would say. Like, that's straight out of 1965.
Right.
Which would ironically put it in the future.
Yeah.
Right. Indy's way ahead of himself. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I kind of like it. It is. I don't know. I think that sounds sort of legitimately Indiana Jones, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a little it is a little like Leave It to Beavery, but he can get away with it.
I like it. I like it.
He's Indiana Jones, for crying out loud.
Yeah, he barely shaves.
Yeah, and by the way, speaking of like outfits and Belloc's pristineness, how does Indy pull off looking so awesome in that outfit? And like the robes and everything. Not that Sala doesn't look awesome and some other people could look awesome, but he's got the combination like pronounced turban with the things over. And I know he's like trying to hide his face and stuff, but it looks like I always thought about this on Hoth too. When he was Han Solo on Hoth, he had like kind of a run-of-the-mill parka, but it looked awesome. Like the shape of it, like when he had the hood up and stuff, it was made to make him look awesome. And it's the same thing with this thing, with this getup.
You're absolutely right. When he had the fur-lined thing, and you're like, everyone else would look absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember I had a blue.
That's like the winter coat.
Yeah.
That you're like, there's no way.
I had a blue winter
ever
coat.
buying that.
And it had a hood, and I think there was like fur around it, and I'm like, oh, I look exactly like Han Solo. That's awesome. And then I would see pictures, I'm like, it's not shaped at all like it. It's like a big oval around my head, and it's lame, and I'm a twerp.
You find yourself on the asphalt of the playground, staring up into the sky.
I'm gonna pretend you guys are Wampas beating me up, okay? Go ahead.
It seems like he would have to spend a lot of time in front of the mirror.
Yeah.
And then at
that's
some
a good-
point,
yeah.
he's looking in the mirror and he says, I'd look good with an earring.
I want to see Sala like standing outside of Indy's room, like, come on, it's almost 9 a.m.
Yeah. You look fine, Jesus.
Yeah, we know you're awesome. You look like a movie star.
I think it was tailored.
It could be.
Tom tailored.
Tom tailored, thank you. By the way, a kid named Tom Taylor has just been cast in the Dark Tower movie.
Oh,
On
really?
podcast.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. I saw that. Age 10.
That's right. Like all Tom Taylors.
Yeah, good. Good luck.
Tom Taylor comes from a planet where everybody's age 10.
That's right. That's the race of Taylors. All right. Do we have anything else for minute 51? I feel exactly like I'm doing an imitation of the Star Wars minute.
You know, I do have one more thing.
Okay,
And it's one of my very favorite things in the movie is this is, I believe, the first time we hear the work song
Oh,
with the guys up on the hillside digging and singing that great song.
I was gonna. Yeah, you mentioned that. I missed it.
Andy.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
in the highway.
By the way,
What?
my sister, I spoke with my sister. She went to Egypt in, I think it was 1985, 1986. And she asked her Egyptian friend, what are they singing? And he said he was like, oh, it's Arabic. He was like, it's fish jumping.
What do they know about fish?
That is a true story. I spoke
That's
with her
what the guy with the hose is about.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome! It's about fish jumping.
That was his you know.
He probably gets asked that a lot, and he comes up with a different answer each time.
Hey, it comes up that, yeah, exactly.
That's a sea
But what-
shanty.
But we do see it later, so it's like it's a classic.
Yeah.
It's a classic work song, and they do it well into the 9:00 at night.
Yeah, they
Would that
got
be
to be sick
torturous?
of that song at some point.
If you were in the dead of the desert, just digging and breaking your back, would you want to be singing about the ocean? Would that be either relief or torture or what?
I don't, I'm not fully convinced. I looked, Pete, you looked this up as well. We looked a little bit, and I also read somewhere that it says it's was it praised be to the prophet or something.
Oh, sure. I think it's about a German who doesn't have any breath left in him.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later.
Either way. Fine. It's a nice call response, passes the time.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Everybody needs that. All right. Well, on that note, standard closing.
Follow us on IndianaJonesMinute.com.
Yes. And follow us on the Indiana Jones Listener Society on Facebook, presumably.
Yeah.
And
our Twitter account and our.
yeah, buy Jerry's drums and
Yeah.
do all
By
the other things you're supposed to do.
Go to Oakland Unified Schools.
.org.
.edu.
.edu. Yes, and go listen to the Star Wars Minute. We have to plug them.
Oh,
Yeah. That's not going to be hard to do. We can do that every minute.
We're just going to reference them constantly. .com.
I have to say, this minute this was tough.
Yeah, but look at that. We got 22 minutes out of it.
Oh, jeez, is that right?
Which is the
20?
sweet spot. They say 22 minutes is the perfect length for a podcast. 21 to 26 minutes.
Oh, yeah? I believe it.
I like Pete. You've been researching all this. That's hilarious. That's good. Well, I looked at it and I was like, how? And then it ended like when he gets. And I was like, how the hell is it? Like literally nothing happened.
I know, yeah. Well, those can be ripe.
Especially the first few minutes of this movie are going to be interesting.
Yeah, just walking through the woods.
I
And
don't.
they're-
You know what? I don't even know. I have to go back and kind of watch it again. I haven't even looked. Like, what should we do? Should we do one?
You want to do one? Like start at the beginning of the movie, maybe?
Well, the nice thing about it. I mean, I think it's hard to say, but the nice thing about it is there's an organic thing to it.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're actually seeing it. Like I saw. When was the last time you watched the movie?
I have not watched it all the way through. I actually have no idea. I've had it on DVD for a while, but I don't think I've watched the DVD or Blu-ray. Why do people make a distinction between Blu-ray and DVD? It's a DVD. They're all DVDs. Anyway.
Well, I actually watched it like a week ago,
Yeah.
and I was not sure what I thought of this podcast until I watched it again, and I realized this if there's a perfect movie, this might be it.
Yeah.
And I am so excited.
Yeah. Me too.
I watched it. I saw it in the theater like 6 months ago, maybe 4 months ago.
Oh my God.
Yeah, on the silver screen, and it was it was it was great. It was different though, because it had been a long time. So I'm wondering, I mean, if you start at minute 1, are you just getting our actual reactions?
Yeah. I mean, as opposed
I mean,
to
it would
what?
be like it doesn't get more real time than that. I think it's hard because we're trying to get our pacing.
Yeah.
So I think we could do a bunch of other minutes practice, but I don't know. We have to.
So
we
you're
have to get our-
saying when we actually start, we start with minute 1.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, you have to start with
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you guys think about guests?
I don't know. I mean, no, I liked your idea about those guys who did that. I heard about that too. Those the guys who did their own
the
fan
kids
movie.
made, yeah. But do you think we should have regular guests? Do you think it should be a special occasion having guests? Do you think we should not have guests? As a
Yeah, I
rule?
feel like we should get our feet wet a little bit, or maybe like up to our waists or something before we get into guests.
Yeah,
Unless
I
like
think
somebody
so.
obvious comes up or something, or like one of our buddies or something. I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
I told my sister I was doing it today, and
Yeah.
she was freaking out. She was like, "Oh my god!" And I was like, "Well, if you want to do it," and I was just, I don't know how I'd feel one way or the other, but I was like, "She'd be great."
Yeah, she would be.
She's
She's
But
one
I
of
don't-
us.
that could be for much later after we do, like, as you said, 30, a bunch of them, 20 of them or something.
Yeah.
But another thing, like most of the podcasts, like the Star Wars Minute, generally their guests are established podcasters.
Yeah.
I mean, Jerry's mom would be a fantastic guest. Like, just sort of change the rules a little bit.
No, sure. You'd be like, "Oh, here's my sister."
Yeah.
Here's my son. Here's my 8-year-old son who's never seen Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah. When are you gonna let him watch? How old?
I don't know. I was 10. This is a conversation we should have on the podcast.
Yeah, I
too,
agree.
but
We'll-
I was
we-
10
yeah.
when I saw it, and he's about to be 9. And I know that for myself, I was probably slightly too young. I was a little bit freaked out by Nazis melting and stuff. But
Sure.
I don't know. I'll probably wait about a year.
Mm-hmm.
If I was tortured, he can be tortured. It was a good
It's-
kind of torture.
Does he know about it? Is it on the radar? Is he like, oh, I've got to see this? Or is he
I've
like, oh,
mentioned
Dad,
it to. He's not chomping at the bit or anything. But I'm like, yeah, this is a movie with the guy who plays Han Solo, and he discovered Star Wars through like the Lego video game. So maybe if I got him like the Raiders video game, the Lego video game, he'd be into it. But one of these days,
Well, that's kind of the back door, I guess.
yeah.
You have to bleep that one too.
We.
I mean, you know what? I'm wearing my Indiana Jones Temple of Doom shirt
Oh, that's awesome.
now. Oh, I like stopped my day and put it on.
See, when we get the website going, that's going to be one of our pictures.
Yeah. Nice. Well, I don't know. What do you want to do? Like, I'm still recording just for the heck of it, but
Oh, sure, that's fine.
do you guys want to? Wait, what?
Go ahead. I figured like it's gonna change. Like we'd probably go over. It's hard to pick it apart in the first 51 because you're like, well, had you watched 48,
Right.
you know, you'd be like, oh, what's weird is Belloc is now angry, but you know.
That'll be interesting. I wonder if when we get to 51, if we'll just play this, or if we'll say, or if we'll just record it again. Oh, you should probably record it again, I guess.
I would imagine we'd record it again.
Now, the Star Trek podcast I listened to, they just played their first test thing when they got to their episode that they tested out with.
Well, this could be a good Patreon subscription.
Oh,
You're our first terrible podcast.
yeah. Here are all our bullshit ramblings. Here are all of Jerry's stories about his sister.
Yeah, just play that part.
Yeah, but my sister went to Egypt in 1986.
Where did everybody go?
So what do you think? I know the Star Wars Minute guys do like 5 episodes at a time. So
Yeah.
that's like a 2-hour block What do you guys think about it? You think it's good to do a few at a time? You think it's good to do one at a time?
I'd be fine with doing 5 at a time. I think that'd be kind of fun. I don't know.
Yeah,
What do you guys think?
I like that too. I think.
Like five. We'd have 5 full minutes at a time.
Yeah,
So, like, we'd start
watch,
with- yeah.
like, watch like the first 5 minutes in advance, and, take notes or whatever, and then get together and record, 5 separate things for each minute.
It would require making sure we had sort of good notes that we kept the minute within the minute.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that is a lot to bite off. Now that I think that we jabbered for 22 minutes on the one.
Yeah.
No, I'm not against it, but I'm like,
You scared?
I'd
Pussy?
do like 3 at first or something.
Oh, okay, we could try that.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think the less intimidating we make it at the beginning, the
Sure.
more likely we are to kind of stick with it and do well going
Yeah.
forward.
I love the idea of getting a bunch of these done before we ever.
I agree about that because it's going to be hard. Because then
No
you
matter
have no
what, we
wiggle
should
room.
do that. Yeah, no matter what, we got to do that.
Yeah.
That's a rookie mistake if we didn't.
We're just scrambling.
But each minute, I mean, some minutes are like going to be chock full of like all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Again, like some are going to be half an hour, some are going to be 10 minutes. We don't have to like fake it if it's, Indy walking through the desert. Oh, that's awesome. Every episode's going to be 40 minutes.
No matter what?
Period. Oh, I should use my mute button when I cough.
There is a mute button. I didn't even notice that. It's just like a phone.
Yeah.
I already peed, and I muted you guys.
Perfect. Jerry Porter, ladies and gentlemen. So this is fun. Okay, now I'm going to stop recording for some reason.